10 most unusual vehicles, the weirdest, craziest machines ever created. All right, car lovers and curious minds, today we're taking a ride through 10 of the most unusual vehicles ever created. These aren't your average sedans or SUVs, nope. These are the rebels, the oddballs, and the game changers of the automotive world. Some were ahead of their time, others were, well, just plain bizarre. So buckle up and prepare to have your mind blown by these wacky machines. 1. The Dymaxion Car, 1933. First up, let me introduce you to the Dymaxion Car. Sounds fancy, right? Designed in 1933 by Buckminster Fuller, yes, the same guy who gave us geodesic domes. This three-wheeled teardrop-shaped car was all about efficiency. It could seat 11 people, hit a top speed of 90 miles per hour, and even boasted impressive fuel economy. But here's the kicker. It handled like a shopping cart on ice. Its rear-wheel steering made it infamously difficult to control, and after a few accidents, the Dymaxion went from futuristic dream to history lesson. Still, you gotta admire the ambition. 2. The Stout Scarab, 1936. Next on the list is the Stout Scarab, a car that looked like a beetle and acted like a living room on wheels. This was the world's first minivan, folks. It had a rear-mount engine, a spacious cabin, and even swivel seats so passengers could face each other like they were at a dinner party. But here's the thing. At $5,000 a pop, a fortune back then, only 9 of these were ever made. Still, the Scarab proved that cars could be more than just transportation. They could be a space to live and connect. 3. The Amphicar, 1961. Now, who's ready for a splash? Meet the Amphicar, the car that thought it was a boat. Released in the 1960s, this quirky ride could drive straight off the road and into a lake like it was no big deal. On land, it cruised at 70 miles per hour, and on water, it paddled along at a modest 7 miles per hour. One of its most famous owners was President Lyndon B. Johnson, who loved using it to prank guests. He'd pretend the brakes had failed and drive straight into a lake. Talk about presidential humor. The Amphicar might not be practical, but it sure made a splash in automotive history. 4. The PLP-50, 1962. Let's go small, really small, with the PLP-50. This microcar built on the Isle of Man is officially the smallest car ever made. It's so tiny it could fit in an elevator, which is probably why it didn't even have a reverse gear. You just dragged it backward like a suitcase. It came with 1 seat, 3 wheels, and a lot of charm. The PLP-50 is proof that sometimes less is more, or at least more hilarious. 5. The Ferrari 512S Modulo, 1970. Now for something futuristic, like really futuristic. The Ferrari 512S Modulo was a concept car designed by Pininfarina in the 1970s, and it looked like a spaceship on wheels. It had a canopy roof that slid forward for the driver to climb in, and its covered wheels made it look more like an art installation than a car. Oh, and it wasn't just for show. This baby had a V12 engine capable of hitting 220 miles per hour. Ferrari didn't mass produce it, but the Modulo remains a jaw-dropping example of what cars could look like if we embraced our inner sci-fi nerds. 6. The Reliant Robin, 1973. 3 wheels, no problem. Well, not exactly. The Reliant Robin was a British icon, famous for its quirky design and infamous for its tendency to tip over around sharp corners. But here's the thing. It was cheap, fuel-efficient, and beloved by its fans. The Robin became a cult classic, even if it was more likely to flip than most Hollywood stunt cars. It's a reminder that imperfections can be endearing. 7. The BMW Isetta, 1955. Next up, the BMW Isetta, also known as the bubble car. This egg-shaped microcar had just 1 door, right in the front. When you opened it, the steering wheel swung out with the door, making it feel like stepping into a cartoon spaceship. It was affordable, adorable, and wildly popular in post-war Europe. The Isetta proved that good things really do come in small packages. 8. The General Motors Firebird XP21, 1953. Let's talk about cars that think they're planes. The GM Firebird XP21 was a concept car powered by a jet turbine engine. It had a bubble canopy, tail fins, and looked like it belonged on a runway instead of a road. It wasn't practical at all, but it was GM's way of saying, look what we can do. And honestly, isn't that what concept cars are all about? 9. The GMC Futurliner, 1940s. Okay, imagine a bus designed by an Art Deco enthusiast, and you've got the GMC Futurliner. These massive rolling displays were part of GM's Parade of Progress tours in the 1940s and 50s. They showcased everything from jet engines to microwaves. Talk about multitasking. Only 12 were ever made, and today they're some of the most valuable collectible vehicles on the planet. The Futurliner wasn't just a vehicle, it was a traveling time capsule of innovation. 10. The Tesla Cybertruck, 2021. And finally, the Tesla Cybertruck. Love it or hate it, you can't deny it's one of the most unusual vehicles ever made. With its angular stainless steel body and armored glass that famously shattered during its reveal, the Cybertruck looks like it rolled straight out of a video game. But beneath its bizarre exterior lies some serious tech. A 500-mile range, bulletproof panels, and of course Tesla's signature electric powertrain. It's bold, it's polarizing, and it's definitely unforgettable. And there you have it, 10 of the weirdest, wildest cars ever made. These vehicles didn't just break the mold, they smashed it, rebuilt it, and then drove it off a cliff for good measure. They remind us that creativity, even when it's a little crazy, is what drives innovation forward. So keep dreaming big, keep thinking outside the box, and as always, keep it weird.